Hey guys, MC Stu here. Today we are going to talk about an alternative for the coveted DPRM. DPRM, let's go ahead and just jump right in and take a look. Well, actually first, let's do a little housekeeping. If you haven't subbed already, please go ahead and click that button. I'd appreciate that. Ring the bell. Consider becoming a channel member. If you click on the join button down below, you can take a look at the perks for doing so. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in here, guys. So we're going to look at a alternative to the DPRM today, and the DPRM comes from the Atlas Dreadnought. It is a lockbox ship. It's highly coveted. This console is considered to be, the best console in the game. If you watch the last video I just made, and I literally just made it, I got finished with that and started on this one. I talk about it a little bit towards the end of the build description. The DPRM itself, I definitely recommend taking a look at that. It is an excellent console. The stats on it, let's just talk about it if you haven't watched the last video. Passive stats are 11.3 all damage resistance, that's passive, and plus 19 directed energy damage. Nothing super great. If that's all it was, we wouldn't be slotting this console. So this console shines when you click it. So there's kind of two aspects to it. Let's say everything's fine, game's going great, and you want to get that alpha damage going and get a damage boost. You can click this and you will get a plus 40% all damage boost. 40% is massive. Now that boost only works though if you're above 80% hull. So the other parts of this clicky are going to be plus 100 bonus damage resistance. I don't know how that works. Again, like the math we're always talking about, this one doesn't have a percentage, but I don't know how bonus skill points works, but it's good. It like the rest of it, right? It sounds good. So, and then you also get plus 500% hull regen, which is massive. So if you were under 80%, you're going to be over 80% very, very quickly. For the most part. So what will happen in a lot of cases is this will be used for that boost, or you're dying and you need a, an oh crap button to bring you back to life. This will do that. It'll do that very quickly, and as soon as you break that 80% fresh threshold, you're also going to then be getting that 40% bonus damage. So you may end up wasting some of that though, because 40% bonus damage is a lot. But where this console really shines is that if you're stacking it at the end of a whole bunch of other abilities, right? So let's take a look, at some of the abilities on my power chain here. So we have emergency power to weapons. It's plus 16.6 bonus damage for energy weapons, which is a huge boost. We also have 49.8% bonus all damage for 20 seconds from attack pattern alpha. We have the batteries, which are giving us 20% bonus damage. With the personal space trait I have, I can activate go down fighting at any time and get the plus 20%, or I'm sorry, plus 50% bonus all damage, which is actually more than what you get from the DPRM. And then beam overload, which is the main attack for this particular ship, and that's going to give us beam damage increase 4 times of default. So we're getting 4 times the damage that we would otherwise get, which is basically like a 400% Cat 1 boost. And then with one of the space traits I'm running, we are getting an extra 20% damage from bonus damage from clicking this. So when I go through and I click all of these things, that's going to add up to a huge amount. And then if I click DPRM on top of that, it's going to be huge. Now, if I just click DPRM by itself, and this stuff's all just kind of going nilly-willy, you're not going to get a ton out of that. And this console isn't going to be the best console in the game. It's the best console in the game, I think, because it's versatile, right? It can save you and it gives you a very healthy damage boost. But where it shines is if you're using this console in conjunction with stacking other abilities, it tops it off. And on top of that, it's like a miracle heal just in case. That's what makes it the best console in the game. It's not the best console in the game because you're going to put it on your ship and you're suddenly doing 100K more. That's not how it works. But used correctly, especially in, some of these space, wizard builds that some of these guys are doing, or a lot of, the builds that Augie's doing in general, because of his knowledge of his deep knowledge about how things work and how they work together and interact with your skills and your consoles and your clickies and your space traits, someone like that can mix in the DPRM to just do insane amounts of damage. And yes, for someone like that, you're going to get those kinds of things. But for the rest of us, we need to make sure that we're looking at our specific build and knowing kind of the chain of events we want to happen when we want to click that, when it's our choice, right? If we're dying, it's not our choice, and we're using it to stay alive, and it is what it is. We're happy it's there. So that's the DPRM. Let's talk about the alternative to that. The M6 computer. Let's take a look at this guy here. So let's start with where this console comes from. So this comes from the ship, and let's look up the exact name of it here so I don't get it wrong. This is the Temporal Escort. This is, I think, it's a T3. It comes from the ship vendor, and you can purchase it with dilithium. It costs somewhere around 63K, which you could earn in about, 8 days or so of grinding dilithium and refining. You have to be level 20 in order to get it. It's one of the ones that unlock at that rank, and you can purchase it for the dilithium, which is much, much easier to get than the lockbox or the EC for the ship that the DPRM comes on. Now, it is not as good. It doesn't have any passives, so you're not getting that Cat 1 boost or the damage resistance, which, again, isn't a huge make or break. The clicky on it, let's take a look at what it does and what it doesn't do compared to the DPRM. And let's go ahead and pull it up this way so we can kind of look at both of these at the same time. And let's move that over so we can actually see it. All right. So what it does when you click it is you're getting a plus 15% bonus all damage for 15 seconds. You're getting 25% cooldown reduction on tactical bridge officers. You're getting a plus 20% firing cycle haste for all weapons for 15 seconds. You're getting plus 30 accuracy rating for 15 seconds as well. It's 15 seconds for everything, and plus 30% for, plus 30 for defense rating. Defense and accuracy, again, not a huge deal. This is probably actually closer to the Domino console that comes off of the Maquis Raider. Or the Bajoran Interceptor, Bajoran Interceptor from the Phoenix lockboxes. It was a part of a event years back, but now can be had for a epic token, which is about as hard to get as a tier 6 lockbox. So it's kind of, I think it's probably closer to that really, but in any case, it does very similar things to both, so it's kind of best of both worlds. You get the bonus damage and the fire cycling haste and the cooldown reduction on your tactical officers. So while you're not getting any passives, and there is not any kind of a heal mechanism, so the biggest thing that it's really missing is that plus 500% hull regen. This is not a no crap button. This is going to be a button for getting that extra alpha strike DPS at the end there. You could use this on other builds because it is, other types of builds, science, those kinds of things, because it is a plus 15% all damage, bonus all damage. I wouldn't though, because 15% of bonus damage is good, but there's a lot better things you could slot in terms of like a science console that would give you that kind of a boost, and the rest of the clicky for it is really has to do more with energy weapons, cannons or beams, with the firing cycle haste, which 20% firing cycle haste is very, very good. So I think this is a good viable alternative. I'm going to go ahead and show you two runs, one that I did with the DPRM, which is actually the run that is in the last video with the build for this particular ship. Check it out. I'll put the link in the description for you guys. But I'm going to go ahead and play it in just kind of fast motion so we can just, see the run. And then we'll take a look at its parse, and then we will go ahead and watch another run where we're running this console. It's not exactly scientific, you know, because I'm doing one with one and one with the other, but overall the team did about the same. The duration was pretty close. I mean, I might have piloted a little bit better or not as good on one or the other, but it'll give you a good idea at, whether or not, if you can't get that DPRM, is this really worth slotting instead, or maybe just slotting something completely different? This isn't for beating up the DPRM, but I think you're going to be surprised with the results. So let's go ahead and watch the first run. Again, that's going to be with the DPRM. We'll take a quick look at the parse on that, and then we will do the next run with the M6 computer. All right, guys, here is the result from that run. Solid run, 179, almost 180 K with this build. Again, this is the parse and the run that is featured in the video prior to this that goes through all of the build of this particular ship with the DPRM. Solid run. So let's just look at a couple things. So we looked at the total DPS, and then our duration was 167.5 seconds. So a little long, but it's not bad at all, and decent DPS, especially, again, like I keep saying, for a 100% free to play account, about 2 years old. This tune's about 8 months old now. So you really can't complain about that. Can you play Star Trek Online for free at the high end? Yes, you can. So let's go ahead and slot the M6. And let's go ahead and take a look at the next run with this and see how that compares. All right, here we are, guys. I was pretty damn surprised when I saw this. So we ended up doing about 10K more with the M6 computer. Now, right off the top, what we need to say is that that is not, I didn't do 10K more because I ran the M6 computer and not the DPRM, okay? So this run was a little bit faster. We're about 30 seconds faster than we were with the DPRM. The team did relatively the same as the team before that I pug ran with. This wasn't a setup run. This is just a random. I don't know any of these people. Team did right about the same. The run itself was a little bit faster. I think I might have piloted a little bit better, and even though the rest of the team did about the same as the last team, maybe they piloted a little bit better. So again, like I said before, there's not, this isn't a scientific test, right? Because we're just doing one run and then another run. But I think it illustrates out how the DPRM isn't going to make or break your build, number one. And number two, there is alternatives for it that are very, very easy for anybody to get. They're not as good. I mean, if you look at the stats, and again, if I ran, if I did this run 10 times with one and then 10 times with the other, you're most likely going to find on average the one with the DPRM, provided, the piloting was about equal, is probably going to actually perform a little bit better. So again, let me just re-emphasize that this second run with the M6 computer was not higher because of the M6 computer and because I didn't have that. I think it was just a combination of a little bit better piloting on my end and probably a little better piloting on the team's side, so we were able to push through the TFO a little bit faster. But again, it illustrates that there are other things you can use in place of that are just as viable. These runs were very, very similar. The time difference was just a bit. But short of that, I mean, there was a pretty good apples for apples test, and I think that this proves that the M6 is definitely a viable alternative. Again, if you can get that DPRM, get it. I mean, it is the best console in the game on paper, but it really comes down to how you use it, and depending on, I didn't need to heal myself either, right, on either one of those runs. Had I needed, like I was about to die, that DPRM would have saved me, and on that second run, the M6 would not have. I would have been dead, and my DPS would have been way, way less, right? And if that's the way the test went, I would had the DPRM basically would have made it to where I could have done way, way more DPS. So it's kind of a dynamic thing. Again, I just want to make sure that people are understanding kind of what they're getting. I'm concerned for when the event's up and all the people get the Atlas and get the DPRM and they slap it on in their first couple runs, they're disappointed. I was when I first got it. I put it on there. It's gonna make me as good as Augie, or much better. And there wasn't even much of a noticeable difference. And it's because I wasn't using it correctly. I wasn't stacking it correctly. Once I figured out some of that, I was able to generate quite a bit more DPS out of it. But it's not going to double your DPS on most of your builds. If you get the right crit hit with all the things stacked and that running, I mean, certainly it's going to help really, really boost it. It is an excellent console. Again, I don't want to make this about bashing it or poo-pooing it. It is an excellent console. Get it, but most people can't. They can't get it right away, and so that alternative is that M6 computer. And I would highly recommend grabbing that right away. I'll put a link to the ship itself that comes off of, so that's easy for you guys to find. I know this was a shorter one. I'm always happy when I can throw something together that's quicker. I do like to talk a lot, and I can make things longer than what it should. But if you have questions, comments, tell me what you guys think about that. Put those down in the comments. I'd appreciate that. I hope this was helpful. If it was, please consider hitting that sub button and ringing the bell. I'd really appreciate it. And until next time, guys, have a good one and stay safe.